Unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetic. This is the Retail Warzone podcast.
All right, so this evening I have Reddit user TGOTR. Going to tell us a little bit about his workplace horror story. It is quite fascinating, and it may infuriate some of you guys. So, but that, you know, like I was saying off stream, this isn't exactly retail that he was in, but as we've grown, I want this to be a place where people can talk about, you know, mistreatment and the kind of things they went through. So it doesn't matter what industry at this point. Proto, hello, welcome Iron Maiden. So having said that, good sir.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I worked to this place for almost 10 years. I left for a couple of years due to the treatment, but I had to go back due to nobody was hiring at that point. And they're like, yeah, we changed. We're fine now.
Right. So I'm going to kind of go through the bullet points of your story. So if you want to start that out, go right ahead.
Oh, well, I started working for this place back in 2011. And I remember that very vividly because it was around the time of Occupy Wall Street.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, basically the management did not like anyone talking about it.
I imagine so.
Occupy Wall Street. Yeah, I mean, considering the way they treat people, yeah, I can see that. I was a temp working minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. And this was a wire mill making wire harnesses. They take bulk wire, strip it, put terminals on, put molds on it, and get shipped. And it gets shipped out to different industries, like the company True. They make refrigerators. You've probably seen them at Walmart holding pop.
So, did they supply like the telecommunication companies too?
No, this was all electrical.
Gotcha. All right. So it said that when you started there, you know, you'd been there for 5 years, and then all of a sudden they gave you a title.
Yeah. I was the only one working in my area at the time. I mean, I was doing the job of 3-4 people, and one of the head people, they were coming through, and they're like, "Well, we can't have this regular worker, you know, playing a supervisor position, so let's give him a title of team lead."
and you received no money for that?
Nope, I received no raise at all.
Wow!
In fact, it took 5 years to get $2 in raises. I was up to $9 by the time I hit that point.
Wow! So, how many hours a week were you working in this quote unquote unpaid supervisor role?
Well, it was usually 40 hours a week.
Wow. And was this kind of like, you know, with it being a wire mill, I'm assuming it's you know, basically like a production facility, right? So
yes.
So you're pretty much on your feet the entire time?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, some jobs you could sit if you were in the stripping area, or if you were running a press.
And what kind of gauge wires are we talking?
22 up to 10, sometimes 8.
Wow. Big boys.
Yes.
That is crazy. All right. So tell us a little bit about, you know, how they made you feel.
Well, there was a lot of gaslighting. I was made to feel like I was bad at everything. I was stupid. I couldn't do anything right. You know, it was my fault I was being treated like this. They would do this by never acknowledging anything good that I do, or taking credit for it themselves, and calling me out on every small bad thing I might have messed up on. Like, oh, this is stripped too long. You completely screwed up the entire order.
But you didn't have much help, though, right?
I rarely ever had help. This would go on for years because the most time I would have help would be if someone was deemed not good enough to work on the floor. Because we had a lot of people come through.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my phone's going off.
That's okay.
They would, if they couldn't run a mold, if they were too slow for assembly or working on a press, they were sent over into my area. If they weren't, they were going to be fired.
Right. Now, when you were hired on as a temp, somebody had asked a question. Were you hired on as a temp full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Gotcha. Another question was, they were curious did they tell you when you got a promotion without the extra pay that it would be a good quote-unquote opportunity?
Yes, they did.
Oh, there it is.
And they said pay, my pay would go up in time.
Oh. So get you to do the work and then you won't know. So,
but that was the first time they had moved me up without giving me extra pay. It was the first time. They did it 3 times to me.
Wow, that is actually kind of terrible, to be honest with you. So tell us a little bit about, when you went to your supervisors and whatnot about, how you were being treated and whatnot. Tell us about the joke form.
You've seen these forms on Facebook, like, oh, where were your feelings hurt? All that. They actually had a form that was legal in the company. It had the company numbering on it and everything. It was legal. It was filed, and you had to fill it out.
So, I mean, and you said in your story they kind of made fun of when they would administer this.
Yep.
Wow.
And they would publicly shame people, and you couldn't go to HR because the head HR lady and the first boss were actually friends. They had been there since the get-go.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So, do you want to touch on November 2014?
November 2014. Okay. Around that time, it had gotten really bad. I attempted suicide because I had been hunting for work for a new job for 2 years at that point. I couldn't get any callbacks or anything like that. I was getting help with resume and even to get into Burger King. This area never really recovered from 2008, so jobs are scarce, like all the time. And then go ahead. So I ended up trying to kill myself over it. I was just that done.
That is quite unfortunate, but thankfully you made it through.
Mm-hmm. I ended up going to therapy at the request of my wife. So,
do you feel like that was a good move?
Well, it got me out of work.
Yeah, true. Now, do you want to go into the result of the therapy, or do you want to skip that?
Well, they did a test. I was diagnosed being autistic as an adult, and the head boss, I had to keep it from her because, like 20 odd years or so ago, she had a child that was diagnosed, and she gave him up for adoption because it would have made her look bad having a retard child, as she said.
That is horrible. I know you had made reference to that she had said that the term autism was the politically correct way to say retarded.
Yep. She said that a lot.
That is just horrifying. I mean, I cannot imagine
someone that full of hate.
Yeah, that is just something that it's really beyond words. Now, when your boss found out, I'm assuming that her treatment of you got worse?
Yes, eventually, like she found out. She found out through Facebook. Basically, I had posted a pro, like, oh, autism people aren't weird or stupid, kind of thing. And someone within her clique, her little birdies, saw it and questioned me about it. Like, why question me about it? What's the point in that?
Right.
And eventually there were rules assigned to me that only I had to follow. Like, oh, well, if you're going to set something up, you have to run it by me first, et cetera, et cetera. Everything you do, you have to run it by me.
That, I mean...
And 2 weeks later, she took the position from me, saying, oh, well, we don't think you can do the job very well.
And then tell everybody what they did with your pay.
They dropped me down to minimum wage, at least attempted to. I quit the next day. I had actually found the job. It was right next to where my mom was living. I was living with my mom at the time. I could just walk right to work, walk right across the backyard and get to work.
Now, I don't know if everybody caught this. Here's the thing. When he was given the title, he wasn't given any money, correct? So
right.
We talked about that earlier. But they dropped his pay. And he didn't even receive an increase. So they dropped his pay, and all of a sudden he was making less than the temps. Mm-hmm.
The temps are starting out at $8 an hour. Minimum wage in Indiana is still $7.25.
Unbelievable.
So I quit the next day. I called in, was like, I'm tired of being treated like shit. You got to find someone else.
That is just absolutely ridiculous.
And it really sucks because there's one boss there. She's the sweetest lady in the world. I mean, but they came down on her because she was nice.
I see. What kind of turnover did that place have? I mean, were there a lot of people that just kind of filtered through and that left because of the treatment, or?
Okay. Well, later on, I became like the head of the whole floor. Didn't receive a pay increase for that either. But I had calculated that their turnover rate was close to 90%.
Good God.
Yeah. And they were proud of it.
That is insane.
They for the longest time they were the lowest paying company in the county. McDonald's paid more, Walmart paid more, and they were proud of that. Like we've got such high profit margins. We're doing great because we're paying everyone so low.
That is. I want to tell you real quick. You got a bunch of support here in the chat. They're asking for her how to contact this woman and taking baseball bats and flipping desks and all sorts of stuff. So you got an army of people here on your side.
Honestly, the thought of killing her actually did cross my mind several times. So,
wow, that is just.
And I'm generally a nice person, so for me to get to that point, that's a lot of push.
Well, especially because you said you were there for the better part of 10 years, right?
Yep. The second half of that, it was a different boss, but she did most of the same shit.
Right. And did you ever attempt to go to HR, or did you have it figured out that it wouldn't? Oh, okay. And they said
I went to HR. They said, "Oh, we'll take care of it." Then I got the first sighting of that one piece of paper. Where did they hurt your feelings? And I actually went to the owner of the company over this, and she got reprimanded for it. But she went around the shop laughing, like, "Oh, I got tattled on again. Someone can't take it."
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So now you had said that you were in an accident and hurt your back, right?
Yes, in March of 2015. To describe it, my mom's property, there are two houses on the property. One, it's a really run-down house that's used for storage, and she's got a trailer in the backyard.
Gotcha.
And we, stuff was stored. I put stuff upstairs. She kept her stuff downstairs. Kept everything separate. Well, this was in the middle of winter. This was March. Snow was on the ground. My feet were wet. I'm coming down the stairs. I slip on something from the top of the stairs down to the bottom. 13 steps. I hit every step on the way down. Hurt my back in 3 places.
And what was that your boss said about the doctor's orders or whatnot?
But doctors can't tell me how to run my shop. I tell you when you have time off.
My God.
The doctor told me I needed to take a few days to relax so I don't, make my back injury worse. Well, she told me I couldn't take those days off. I had to come in. And I was living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's how they keep you at that place. Paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
So what was I going to do, right?
Yeah, because especially if you've got nothing else out there, I mean, you got to, submit yourself to that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. But something clicked after my brother died a few months later.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, talk about the time off thing.
Okay, so my brother died in a couple months later, like the day before my birthday to boot. And basically, I was told I was not allowed to go to his funeral. I had to take care of the funeral because my mom, she was a wreck from it. My sister wouldn't help, so it was all put on me. And I had to... but they told me I was not allowed to go to the funeral because there was no way I could prove he was my brother because we have different surnames.
That is so you got zero bereavement.
Zero bereavement. There are 3 instances where this happened, where I needed to go to a funeral to be with family, because I view family as first or second thing in your life. You should, at least above your job. Your job should be the last thing you should worry about.
Correct. And you had, so you went to these things, but you took points, right?
Yep. I called in sick that day of the funeral. Like, I can't come in. I'm sick. And I had to take points for it.
And that happened
just so I could attend.
That was 3 different occasions, right?
Yep. My grandma died in 2019. My paternal grandmother. They said I was supposed to go to the visitation as well as the funeral. I couldn't attend the visitation because they said, no, you cannot go to the funeral or the visitation. This is more important.
Do you feel like that, like those kind of situations, that the treatment kind of got worse? When they found out that you were autistic?
I think it was more because I was defending myself. I wasn't letting them walk all over me anymore. I was standing up for myself, and they just pushed back harder.
Wow. So you wound up getting out of there. Now, tell us about the weird part after you left. What happened?
Well, they're one of those places that were complaining, oh, nobody wants to work. We can't find anybody. There's too much unemployment. Well, they called me. I was at work at my new job. It's a decent company, this new job. I mean, I was taken aback by at one time one of my cats knocked my alarm clock off of my table. I'm old school. I still use an alarm clock. I don't even keep my phone in my room. And knocked the alarm clock off my table, unplugged it, and my alarm didn't go off. I didn't wake up till 10 or 11 o'clock. They had my new employer actually sent the police for a wellness check.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
Uh-huh. And my old guy was like, well, he's not coming in.
Wow. But they tried to get you to come back.
Yes, they called me when I was working there. He said, okay, first thing I heard, you're starting on Monday. I'm like, what? They said, "You're starting on Monday. We need you back." Like, no, I've got a job. I'm making more than what you were paying me. I can't be, I'm not coming back. They're like, well, you need to stop being selfish and think of other people.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. And then I hung up, and Monday came along. Why didn't you show up? I said, I told you no.
I mean, that, yeah, because you alluded to the fact because they couldn't find anybody to fill your position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it sounded like I give you props for making it there as long as you did.
Uh-huh.
And I fully understand the paycheck to paycheck thing. And I imagine you probably felt pretty damn trapped.
Yeah, I did. Actually, the subsidies, the COVID subsidies are what helped me get out.
Right.
Because I was able to put that money back because I was doing independent contract work on the side, so I was able to stop living paycheck to paycheck for a while. I was able to start putting money back. And that and the subsidies actually put me over that limit where as soon as I got mad enough, I just go, you guys, I'm gone. Which is exactly what happened. I got mad and told them to go F themselves.
Well, good for you. You should have. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand is the subsidies that came out. Those helped a lot of people. And, and in your case, it helped you out tremendously because it helped you get out of that hellhole.
Yeah.
And, and that's worth it.
Hellhole is a bit of an understatement.
That is. And, the amazing thing is for the fact that, a lot of those people that treated you that way are still damn there.
Yeah. And, back in September of last year, well, they had gone through a few months of 4-day weeks because of COVID. They weren't getting orders in, but they were still behind, which I don't get. They went from there immediately to 6 to 7 day weeks.
Mandatory overtime?
Yep, 100% mandatory.
Now, were you getting paid for the overtime?
Yes, I was not salary. In fact, I told them that if I was going to get paid salary, I was going to be paid overtime as well. They tried to say it was illegal, and I said no.
Oh, God. That is, dude, I just, but, it sounds like, once you got out, your life kind of straightened out, and you're doing pretty good for yourself.
Yeah, it did straighten out quite a bit. I mean, I'm still working towards getting off of my antidepressants that I went on because of that place. I don't feel like freaking out all the time.
Well, when you emailed me and I was kind of like looking for like a title or whatnot, I think you said it best. Stand up for yourself. Your job should be the last thing you worry about.
Yeah, it is. It should be the exact last thing. You should always come first, because if you can't meet your needs first, you're not going to be able to meet the needs of your family, your friends, your community. Absolutely.
I mean, spot on. And just the difference in night and day, like you said, the current employer sending, a police officer for a wellness check. Versus whereas I can imagine the other place would be like, we're going to cut your pay some more, or some kind of mess like that, I had a question come through. It says, and maybe you can really kind of get into this. What positive attributes do you wish employers knew about autistic people that can add to their business?
Honestly, if you treat autistic people like they're normal, you're going to get the most out of people. Don't act like they're, someone stupid or they're someone super smart and put so much pressure on them. Just act like they're normal.
Right. Now, speaking of the antidepressants, are you still going to a therapist, or were you able to get out of that?
Oh, I had to stop after a while. My insurance stopped covering it.
Right. Do you feel like that, you've suffered. I would have to think that you have, some sort of PTSD for having, for all you dealt with there.
My wife thinks so because I have nightmares. I still get the intrusive thoughts from that place.
Yeah, because the feeling is,
it seems like I get flashbacks.
I can imagine. So so how long have you been away from there now?
I quit back in May. I didn't get to my new job till July, so I actually had that much money saved up, and then some.
So you were able to take a little bit of a break. That's good. You needed it after all that bullshit.
Yes.
So what's your path forward? I mean, what are you kind of aspiring to do now?
Well, I'd like to work for myself mostly. I am getting back into investing, like through Robinhood and dividends and all that hoot nanny. And
you're like you said, you're attempting to do contract work outside of your job, but right now, kind of hard for you to do that.
Yeah, it's hard to do. A lot of places, they're not going to hire someone from the outside because of COVID, and a lot of regular people aren't gonna do it either.
And you bring up a good point. All this was going on to you, going on with you during the pandemic, and the pandemic was bad enough as it was. How did? Go ahead.
I had to work while sick with COVID. So
what?
Yeah.
And they knew you had it?
Well, my wife had a COVID scare. I went in because I knew if she had COVID, I would have to not be there for 2 weeks. I went in to ask, would I be able to use my PTO if I have to end up quarantining? She said, no. If you are told to quarantine, you're still mandated to come in.
So wait a minute. So you get COVID, you get told to quarantine, but they're like, you got to bring your ass into work anyway.
Yep.
Holy God.
Well, the boss at the time was saying, it's just a hoax. It's just a hoax. It doesn't really exist. Didn't take it seriously till she herself got it.
Jesus Christ, man. That is, how sick were you?
I was actually asymptomatic.
Oh, so well, at least there was that.
Right. I didn't find out till I had a blood test in June where, like, oh yeah, you've got the COVID antibodies. Like, really?
It's like, wow. Somebody said when you had COVID, I would have visited her office every dang day.
Well, I did leave some presents in her chair sometimes when she wasn't there. I'd sit there and rip one right on her chair.
Nice. How old was this lady?
Oh, she was about 40, a little older than 40. She had just gotten out of prison when I met her. Married. What? When I met her, yeah. She had been in prison since her 20s and was in for drug use. And this was her first job out of prison because her mom got her the job. Her mom was the sweetest lady boss that I had.
Oh, wow.
That
is wow. So somebody straight out of prison and they got them running a shop floor.
Well, she didn't start out running the shop floor. She was running production, but within 2 years, she was in the command seat, so to speak.
Wow. And didn't you say there was some other nepotism?
Yeah. I had left for 2 years because of being told I was losing my title and I was going to be losing 2 years of raises. I had to go back because because the place I went to closed up shop. And I didn't have much of a choice. They said, oh, well, you've got these IT certifications. Well, when that position opens up, we'll give it to you. I didn't believe them because, you know what I mean?
And they gave it to, what was it, a family member?
Yeah. the next March, the position opened up. I asked about it. I said, we never said anything like that. And it had gotten to the kid of someone who already worked in the office. He didn't know jack about the job.
Wow.
And within a week, the main company servers were tanked. They were done.
That is, did they expect you to clean up his mess?
Yeah. Basically, they had lost a customer. And over it, because what they used to do was they would send job orders between computers over the network through that server. But due to the server being down, they just put them on flash drives and walked them over. Like, here's work orders. Well, a thumb drive got lost somewhere, and they lost a huge order, which resulted in losing a huge customer.
Yeah, because that kind of business you're in, you're not talking like little small customers. You're talking like some big boy companies out there.
Yeah, or 2,000 plugs, like you plug into the wall.
Yeah.
Sometimes hundreds of ground force current interrupter things that go on vending machines. Yeah, big stuff, big money there. Well, they came up to me and said, "Hey, can you fix this for them so we don't have this problem again?" Like, well, am I going to get the job if I am successful? Like, no, your job is production. I said, well, then I'm not doing it.
Wow. One blame tag in the chat says they reaped what they sowed. Yeah, it's kind of like karma that they lost a customer.
Yeah. Well, they ended up going to Staples. Staples had Geek Squad at Best Buy. Basically, some big name computer group came in and took them for $10,000 easily for a new server.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
And they had no clue.
Nope, they had no clue.
They got ripped off blind.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of IT certifications did you wind up getting? Networking?
I have A+ certification, which is what basically my plan was, to get A+ certification. And hopefully that would have gotten my foot into the door of some company, and I'd be able to grow from there. But I was never able to find an IT position anywhere in my area.
Right. Well, it's like you said, the area still hadn't recovered from 2008.
Right. Places were still closing.
What were the working conditions there? I mean, to me, it really sounds like somebody made, the comment that sounded like you were working for an American sweatshop.
It was a sweatshop. It got hot. There was air conditioning, but it didn't cover the whole floor. But one year they didn't turn on the air conditioning, saying we weren't working hard enough for it.
What?
Uh-huh. And some of these molders, they got up to 400 degree molten vinyl in them.
Oh my God! So that place was hot as hell.
It got hot, yeah. And we had rubber presses and everything.
What kind of? How was their safety record there?
Oh, let's see. I witnessed about 4 accidents. They only mandated using guards when the safety inspector was coming through, the insurance guy.
Oh wow!
Uh-huh. So I was one of the accidents because one of the machines I was running was poorly maintained, and it tripped itself when my finger was nearby, and my finger got crushed.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Any like really, really severe injuries that you witnessed?
Let's see. One person, a similar thing. They were on a cutter. They were reaching in. The machine grabbed their finger and ripped it almost all the way off.
Oh my God!
It was hanging by the skin.
Did OSHA ever visit that place?
No, but ICE did a few times.
Oh really?
Uh-huh. Like when I started there, it was undocumented city.
Oh, and I can see where an employer that is doing that, I can see where their concern for the crew isn't all there.
Mm-mm. In fact, the insurance guy that came through every once in a while, he said, "Well, you got to rotate these people. They can't be doing the same thing all the time." Well, then they came out and said, "Okay, after a few hours, just ask, and we'll rotate you. But if you ask, they'll say, well, can you at least finish it?"
Wow. Did you get breaks?
Yeah, we got breaks. I mean, 2 10-minute breaks and 1 30-minute break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that for a 12-hour shift or an 8-hour shift or what?
That was for an 8-hour shift. Actually, it was for 8 and 12.
Ooh.
Yeah, because sometimes you got one at 4 o'clock, but it was basically on the whim of the person running the floor at the time.
Wow. When your finger got crushed, did you have workman's comp?
No, I didn't, because it wasn't crushed that bad. In fact, all it did was break a bone off in my finger.
Wait a minute. So, did they even have workman's comp, or did they just tell you? Did you have to foot the bill to go to the doctor and get it checked?
Well, no, they paid for that, surprisingly.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is.
Yeah, I mean, people have had heart attacks from getting pushed all the time, and
this is But you're happier where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better.
And do you enjoy the job?
It's not something I would want to do long term.
Right. But I would assume, judging by, how you've talked, that it's obviously a huge step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually holding out for an IT position to open up here in this job.
Wow. I hope you get it. I mean, look, man, I mean, I give you a lot of props for coming on, and telling us about this. Cause I mean, God, I cannot imagine, that, like you said, having nightmares and stuff and reliving that stuff over and over. And the fact that it's just wrong that you were treated that way. It's wrong for anybody to be treated that way. And
I was just the only one that stuck it out.
Right. And do you think if let's say that company, I know we had talked before we went live about unions. Do you think if that location was to have gotten unionized, that things would have improved, or do you think the company would have folded to keep from going unionized?
Honestly, I figured what was going on behind the scenes is that they were trying to get rid of production in this one location and use the building as a warehouse and have production shifted to the other 3 locations for this company.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, because there was one and there's a location next town over, and wouldn't have made sense to have 2 locations like so close to each other.
Right.
So I figured that's why they treated people like shit there.
Was trying to actually legitimately say we can fold up the business so we can use it as a warehouse.
Yeah, that's what I hypothesized.
Got you. Do you have any people that that are still stuck there, or?
Yeah, there's quite a few people there that I know that are stuck there, and yeah, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for some of them. The other ones, they turned on me basically because I wasn't part of the cult, basically.
That happens a lot. So you didn't drink the Kool-Aid. You said no more of the Kool-Aid, and I'm out.
Yep. Yeah, no more of the Kool-Aid. I want better for myself, and all of a sudden I became a bad person.
Just because you wanted better for yourself, and that I think that pretty much sums it up. That is, man, I don't know. I mean, you've been through a lot, but obviously it's made you stronger.
I hope so.
I mean, you've come through a lot, and it's. Do you think that you might find yourself in a position where you might need to go back to therapy, like if insurance covered it or whatnot, if you kept having like the nightmares and stuff?
Well, my insurance covers it now, so I mean, if it does, if I I end up having to go back to therapy, it'll be paid for. So why not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you need it, use it, because I mean, this is a horrible, horrible situation that you went through, and everybody here in the chat, when you talked about the attempted suicide, everybody here was like, "We're glad you're here. We're glad you came through," and it's a shame that we live in a world, especially in this country, where jobs are so bad that it puts people in that headspace. Now, have they reached out to you anytime recently trying to get you to come back, or are they leaving you alone now?
Nope. They haven't yet. I was told by one of the people that left, the person that they hired to replace me, he walked. So probably gonna be calling me again.
Wow, that's when you give them the big middle finger and say no, thank you. So,
or come in and put dry ice in their gas tank or something.
Yeah, whatever gets the point across. I just, some of the details, like you said, for the boss being straight out of prison and whatnot. I mean, that just kind of shows you who thought that was a good idea. I mean, I know that was, she was a relative or whatnot, but who in their right mind thinks that we're gonna rehabilitate this person and put them in charge?
Right. Well, shoot, a lot of times they scrape the bottom of the barrel for employees. I cannot tell you how many times we had druggies come through, people on meth. They caught people shooting up heroin in the bathroom once.
Oh God. Well, I mean, but then again, too, they're not paying you shit.
Right.
Now, I know you had pondered, a lawsuit. Are you still pondering that?
Yes, I'm trying to get in contact with other people who had worked there and experienced similar things.
I hope you guys nail them to the fucking wall. I mean, because there's so much from like a labor board, rule set that, if you can prove it and you got documentation or you got people that have witnessed it, man, it just sounds like nobody's had the balls to go up against them yet. It seems to me, just the stuff that happened to you alone can get them in some serious hot water.
Yeah, I mean, many times they fired someone all of a sudden because they were black or whatever.
I mean, it's just, I don't. I hope you go through with it. I hope you get somebody behind you that can help, because if anything, maybe you get a payday out of it.
Right. I kept telling them that if you want to treat people like shit, move to China.
Yeah, exactly. Because it really sounds like that's how they're operating, that location. The only difference is they got adults instead of like 13, 12, and 11 and 10-year-olds in the shop.
Right. But they would hire people that young if they could. They could get away with it.
I'm sure they would. It's just, I mean, how do you feel now that you've been out of it? I know you still have some like lingering issues or whatnot, but do you feel like every day that you go to this new job, rather than going back to that one, you feel some sort of like mental health improvement in you, knowing that you're done with it?
There is that sense of relief.
Right. And so you moved quite a way away from there, right?
Yeah. Well, this new job is closer to home.
Right.
For higher pay, much higher pay.
And, well, with that, I mean, just taking you out of the proximity of that location's got to help some. Because, I mean, there are tons of people.
I haven't been back to that city since May. No, maybe it was June. I went down there. Buy some tools from the hardware store.
Because I know of people, just in the retail industry where you get like some sort of bad flashback if you just drive by the location you used to work at.
Good thing the place is out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So have you made any progress on like getting people together to pursue the lawsuit?
I'm trying to be hush about it, because they are the people that run the company are very litigious.
Right.
They threatened to take Indeed to court because someone left a bad review of them on their website.
Wow. Have you?
Okay, so they hired the guy to help get the company ahead, and they fired him.
Wow.
Because he couldn't do it. Because he couldn't do it in like 2 months.
That is.
And he left a huge scathing review, calling the place a Nazi death camp. And
wow.
Well, partially for the fact you're not allowed to talk while you're there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not allowed to talk. You're not supposed to have your phone at all.
So you're not even allowed to like, if you're working in close proximity to somebody, you're not even allowed to speak to each other?
Nope.
What the hell? What kind of place is this?
I called it North Korea.
My God. I mean, I'm really shocked they gave you breaks, to be honest with you.
Peasants? Oh, yeah, they also called us peasants behind our backs.
Oh, my God. That is, wow. Have you been able to contact the guy that did the review? Have you thought about trying to reach out to him?
He moved out west, I think.
He may be somebody you want to contact, though, because, if from the inner workings of it, he may be very, very beneficial.
But yeah, he's how people found out that they call us peasants behind our backs and how they talk about us. Did
you get any kind of benefits? I mean, did they offer like health benefits or anything like that?
The health benefits were garbage. They only worked in Indiana. In fact, they only worked in Fort Wayne.
Oh, wow.
Which is 2 hours away from my home.
Fort Wayne. Oh, so was this located in Fort Wayne?
No, this wasn't in Fort Wayne. It was in a couple counties north of Fort Wayne.
But your insurance was only good in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, it was only good at the hospital in Fort Wayne.
Wow.
It was $70 a week, if I remember right.
Now, was that just medical, or was that medical, dental, and vision and all that?
It was just medical. Did
they offer vision and dental?
Yeah, they did, but it was useless as well. They only paid for like one pair of glasses a year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my coworkers, sweet lady, but she had to get one eye done a year because she had 2 prescriptions, one for each eye.
Oh, wow. That's a little insane. I'm a little bit familiar with the Fort Wayne area because Sweetwater Music is up there, and so when you said Fort Wayne, I'm like, wait a minute, because Fort Wayne is kind of pricey, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a quasi major city, not as big as Detroit, but
a lot of military there too, right?
Yes, yeah, because there's still an active fort there.
Yep, that is absolutely crazy. So, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless with all this because it's I read the post on Reddit and whatnot, and I just I get the feeling that you were treated like someone that used to work for me. And, we didn't treat this individual that way, but a lot of people did. And, I applaud you for reaching the point that you just had enough and you stood up for yourself. This is something that, we tried our best to get, this person to do as well. And, it's, I understand the challenges that you had, and I think the thing that was the most shocking to me was the story about, giving the child up for adoption.
Because it made her look bad,
and that
socially,
and that, but that was the same woman that was in prison, right?
No, this was the boss before her.
Oh, that's right, the boss before her. So the boss before her, she wound up leaving, and then the family member from jail wound up taking that position. Okay, I got you. All right, that makes sense now. But I mean, the whole politically correct way to call somebody retarded is just, I don't. It really shows that probably in the area that company was in, that there's no oversight and nobody ever, held their foot to the fire, so to speak. And they feel like were they one of the biggest employers in that area?
No, one of the biggest employers was actually just down the road. But when ICE would visit, did it finally get to the point where they stopped doing that, or did they continue? They stopped doing it.
I wonder how much of the treatment everybody afterwards was because they got caught doing that and they couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
Because God only knows how much they were paying them. Right.
I was one of the people that reported them.
Well, I mean, it's not cool because it's exploitive.
It is.
And that's totally 100% unfair. It shouldn't be that way. It's like, everybody should make, you deserve to make a good wage. And when you're taking advantage of people that are here for whatever reason and you're lowballing them, and almost kind of like holding them hostage, like you'll work for us for this amount or we're going to tell,
Right. And what are they going to do, right?
Exactly.
You're not going to go to the labor board because you're not here legally. You'll get deported.
Yeah, exactly. So it's crazy. Wow. Well, anyway, sir, we're hitting right at an hour.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for reaching out to me. I mean, hopefully, you feel like you got a little bit off your chest. Hopefully it helps, And like I said, there's a lot of people in this chat that are ready to like grab pitchforks and torches and come up there and take care of that problem.
Right. So, not my personal army. So
yeah. So it's I'm glad that, you made it through. I'm glad you made it through, 2014. We're glad you're here. And so if you need anything else from us, you feel free to reach out to me at any time, and I'll tell you, just like I've told everybody that's been on the show, once you're on the show once, you're part of the family. So if you need anything, you let me know.
All right.
All right, my friend. All right, everybody. It's been a good one. Keep your pitchforks and your torches put away. I don't want anybody going to jail. So y'all calm down. But anyway,
I can't bail you out. So.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, just to let you guys know what's coming up. We do have a Friday episode coming. I've got to do something with the timing. But if you're on Twitter, you've seen it. Our guest that evening, her name's Vanessa. And then also, if you're a Twitter person, I talked with Berserk. And next Monday, we're going to have us a free-form chat. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So once again, everybody, thank y'all for being here. I'll pass along the details for what's coming up in the next few days, and then we will go from there. But once again, sir, thank you so much for being on the show. Like I said,
no trouble.
If you need anything, let us know. And to everybody else, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.